How y'all doing? I'm going to give you a few pointers on how to drive the truck, what to look out for, and a few important things like that. First of all, the truck is a diesel truck, so when you go to put fuel in it, make sure you put diesel. A diesel truck also has what they call glow plugs, so when you go to start it the first time, you just don't put the key in and turn it over right away. You got to turn the ignition on, let it warm up a little bit, and then start it. Generally 10 to 15 seconds when you first start it up in the morning when you first use it. After that, it's usually pretty good for the rest of the day. With the first initial start, please turn the ignition on, let the glow plugs warm up, and then you can start it. As you can see this truck right here, you actually ride on the front wheels. There's an advantage and a disadvantage to that. The advantage, of course, being you can turn and get in and out of really tight places. The truck really handles really well. That's the advantage. But the disadvantage, you can turn sharp, and when you turn left, the rear of the truck on the right side is actually going to come out pretty far. So if you're driving, if you take a hard left turn and there's a pole or a car right next to the rear of the truck, you have to be real careful in your mirrors because the rear end actually slides out the harder you turn. If you make a real tight turn in any direction, always keep an eye on your mirrors if somebody's parked real close to you or driving real close. So that's one of the things. The length, 26 feet long, usually longer than anything you normally ever drive, of course, and it's also 11 feet high. So those are two very important things to watch out for. Of course, when you're using the truck. Don't go under any low overhangs like at gas stations or, low bridges or even tree limbs. Lower tree limbs in the neighborhood can really mess up the top of the truck. So just something to be aware of when you're driving this truck is low-lying limbs, bridges, and overhangs. It's an automatic. It's very easy to drive. And when you get in it, the mirrors are set up where you can see very well. You don't have a rear view mirror because of the box, but you have mirrors on both sides, and so you can see really well. And so that's usually not an issue, not until you go to back up. And it's always best when you're backing up the truck to have somebody helping you back up, because naturally you can't see behind you. So when you're backing up, and I'll show you. If you can look down here, these lights are very low. So if you're backing up and nobody's really looking at you, those can get broken off. They've already been broken off before. So it always helps to have a spotter behind you. That way you don't have any accidents. The latch to get in, it has a lock right here. It's a real simple latch. You just kind of push down on it, and up it goes like that, and then you slide the truck open. As you can see, it's nice and clean. Please keep it that way when you return it back to us. You can load anything in it, but just make sure it's all cleaned up. It has a lift on it, and the lift works really good. The truck does not need to be on for the lift to work, but the truck has to be parked in an area where when you bring the lift down, it can actually be cleared to open up. And I'm going to do it, and hopefully you can see it on video what I'm talking about. There's a button right here, and it goes up or down. Okay, of course that's down, that's up. But as the lift is going down, when it hits the ground like this, it has to be parked in a manner where this part of this lift will open up. And if the truck is heavily loaded, or depending on how level the street is, you won't be able to lift this up. And so you're going to have to try to find a different place to park. And I'm going to show you real quick. If you can just move over there. This is heavy, but you have to open it up. And see, it just barely cleared right here. If you come in a little bit closer. If the truck's not parked right, it's going to hit on this thing. So when you go to open this up, it's going to get caught right there. There's nothing you can do about it. You just got to put it back in there, lift it back up, and go find another place to park where you'll have some more clearance. Here it works. We have the right amount of clearance, so you're able to open it up, and it just folds down. And then open it again one more time. Watch your hand, of course. And then you're able to load stuff on it, put it on there, and then you can start lifting it up. Of course, watch your hands right here, or toes. Load your stuff in, and then it's ready to load again, whatever else you need to do.
Great.
As a truck, you might be parked in an area where it'll work when you're starting to load stuff up, and you're able to deploy the lift. But after you load the truck up, the actual truck gets too heavy. If it's real heavily loaded down, and you go to put it back up to go down the road, and you get to this point right here, and it won't close because it's too heavy. Well, there again, then you got to just open it back up, lift it up again, and then go try to find a place. I've had to park it kind of off, off a small hill or something like that when it's been really loaded down, to be able to close it back up. And you can drive the truck like this for a little bit. It's not going to hurt it, but we recommend definitely not driving down the highway and stuff like that because it just makes it that much longer. It needs to be properly stowed. And it's kind of tricky, but it's usually not an issue, but sometimes it is, and I just wanted to point that out. Because if you can't get it back in, a lot of people are going to say, well, what's wrong? It won't close right here for some reason. It'll be hitting this deal, and it won't close properly. So those are just some things to be aware of with the lift. And once it's like that, you just close it back up, and it's good to go. And that's about it. The main thing, of course, is your height. Watch it going under the limbs and the overpasses, low bridges. Working the lift. Always have somebody behind you backing you up.
Did you already say how tall it was?
Huh?
Did you already say how tall it was?
Yeah, it's 11 feet tall.
Okay.
11 feet tall.